Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Béla Höfig. I'm part of the TwinCAT Product Management team, and today I would like to present the latest PLC updates in the upcoming TwinCAT Build 4026. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to use the question window, and I will try to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar. All other questions will be answered via email afterwards. Today, I would like to start to present the updates in the usability side, as well as in the ST and CFC editor. Then I will update you on the two PLC functions, UML and static analysis. And last but not least, I would like to update you on the new type system representation, the new possibilities of creating PLC project templates, and all the news of the library handling. I would like to start with the usability and with the dark theme, which is going to be available in Build 4026. As you can see in the screenshots, you can easily change the theme within the TwinCAT options, and then you have an overall dark theme available in Visual Studio. We have also added a new feature called PLC bookmarks, which you can use to add like hints in your SPS code where you maybe would like to continue to work on, or where you maybe have to change something. Up to now, this could be done via comments or custom warnings which you add to the PLC code. Now this new bookmarks can be easily added directly via the context menu, for example. And then we have a specific window available which shows all the bookmarks which you have set in your PLC code. You can easily navigate between them, and the bookmark names can be changed according to maybe who has to do changes and what has to be changed. Then we have also updated the cross-reference list. We have added a new column, which is called context. So in addition to all the other information already available, it's now possible to have a closer look at the context where the variable is used. And it is also possible to filter or sort this column. So if you're looking for a filter for address, for example, all results where address is part of the context column are shown. Then we have changed the monitoring also. Here you can see the online dialog where you can choose a specific instance. You have double-clicked in the solution tree on an FB. And now there is a possibility available to filter those instances, which makes it way easier to find specific instances. Then, if you're using methods a lot, this is going to be very important for you. You can directly jump online into the correct FB instance to have the method online and continue to debug it. And this is now possible via a separate command, which is added to the context menu. If you're using object orientation a lot, this is also going to be very important for you because you can, in Build 4026, change the online mode, the display mode, for variables of function blocks. So here we can see a sample where variables have been designed or defined in the base function block. And it is now possible to switch the display mode to structured, which enables you to see those variables which are defined in the base class in or under this super pointer. So you have a possibility to have a more structured view of the different variables of your FBs. The default is still plain, so you would see all the various variables on the same side. Then we have added new operators. The first new operator is underscore underscore POU name. As you can see in the sample, you can call this new operator locally to save the POU name in a certain variable. And there is also the operator underscore underscore position added. And this also returns a string, but in this case, the line number and column number is saved. In the sample, you can see that column 1 and 2 are set in the two different samples. Columns always means characters which are added already in this line. Yeah, it really helps to get certain information locally in your FB. Then I'm very happy to announce that we now support try and catch also for 64-bit target system. Up to now, it was only released for 32-bit target system. Yeah, now it's available also for 64-bit. Then there is a new concept which we have added, the generic constants. This is important to be more flexible with your function blocks. Here in this sample, we have a max length of the array, which you can set via this generic constant. And this enables you to define a certain length, which can change from instance to instance while adding this instance in the main program, for example. So here you can see also online that depending on the value of this generic constant, the number of array elements is changing. We have also updated the IntelliSense. Here in this case, you can see that we have access now to different categories available for this list. So normally, and this is also the default group which is used, all entries, so all results are shown, but you can now change the category via the arrow keys to keywords, global declarations, or local declarations to easily find the correct variable. Then we also support the IntelliSense functionality for FBinit methods. As you all know, you can, in addition to the already existing variables of the FBinit, add your own variables, which you then have to use and set during the declaration. And now it is also possible to find those variables via IntelliSense, so you don't have to look them up manually anymore. Then we have also changed the function and method calls for input parameters, which you define, or for which you define initial values. It is no longer to add them to the method call if you don't want to. So here you can see a sample where the upper method has 2 inputs and the lower method has only 1 input. This input has an initial value. And as you can see in the main, you get an error for first method because those inputs doesn't have those initial values. In the second method, there is no error shown. So it is simply not necessary anymore to add all variables to the method call. And now I would like to continue with the structured text variables. So as you can see here, if you search for specific variables and you have found the variable and just click onto it, you can see that all other places where this variable is used are highlighted automatically. In addition, if you search for something specific, you have now access to an incremental search, which is directly integrated into the ST editor. So you can open this incremental search via Control F, and then you see that all places where the specific text is found is also highlighted, and you can simply switch between the results by clicking the arrow buttons. Then the editing of columns is now not only possible via the cursor, but also with a combination of different keyboard keys. Then we have added a new concept called smart tags for declaring variables, but also for other use cases. Here in this case, as I said, it's for declaring variables. Normally, the auto-declare dialog would automatically pop up. Here in this case, you can use, again, the cursor or a different set of keys to open the smart tags, and you get access to either the dialog, this is the first entry in the list, so the auto-declare dialog, or you can directly locally instantiate this variable or decide to instantiate it in the function log itself if you run a method, for example. In addition, we have also added quite some features for the CFC editor. Here there is a new possibility added to change the CFC execution order. And the new default is the automated data flow mode, where the execution order is automatically set according to the data flow. And it always starts with the start position of the data flow. And you can see that we can display, of course, the execution order. But this is just a temporary overview to get just information into the editor, which of those blocks are executed first. Then, if you have loops in your code, you can also manually, if you would like to, set a specific start position. And then we have added a new feature where you can increase the speed of adding new elements to the CFC editor. So if you drag and drop only the box once, this is of course still possible, but if you press the control button and hold it, you can also add this box multiple times at once. Then we have added a new feature where you can drag and drop variables from the declaration window into the implementation window. And as you can see here, it's simply added after the add block. And this is also possible from point of view of the solution tree. So if you drag and drop this FB sample, for example, it is also added in the implementation editor. And then it is possible to rearrange pins in the box. So here in this case, we changed the position of the B arrow. And now I would like to give you a short overview about the updates on the UML editor, starting with the class diagram. As you can see here, the access modifiers of the methods and properties can easily be also displayed in the class diagram. Here you can find a list of symbols and access modifiers. So those symbols are shown in the class diagram in the future. And as you can see here, specific variable groups can also be hidden optionally in the class diagram. So here you can see that you can create a class diagram really specified with a customized focus, only showing the required information. On the static analysis side, we also have quite some updates available. First of all, you can see this light bulb again. And here it is used to offer quick fix functionalities. So for some of those rules of the static analysis, this is available. Here in this use case, it's for unused variables. So it offers you various possibilities to solve this problem here. There are also quite some bigger number of new rules. I won't mention them in detail. We have, of course, documented it, so you can find it in the online documentation if you're interested in. And we have added another feature for naming conventions. So now it is possible to easily define prefixes also for user-defined data types, for example, pvoid and hresult. The problem here was that those data types were write protected because these data types were defined in the global data type system. And in 4024, it was already possible to add an attribute to define a prefix. But as those data types are write protected, you cannot really add this attribute here. And for this, we have now found a solution, and we have implemented it in 4026. We have added a new configuration part for naming convention in the static analysis settings, where you can now define the prefix for those data types too. Then we have extended the control of the static analysis via the automation interface. Up to now, run static analysis and run static analysis check all objects were already available via the automation interface. Now we have added a new possibility to also load and store configurations via the automation interface. This is very important if you have automated build workflows and you would like to use the static analysis. So in the future with build 4026, you can also set the configuration automatically and then execute the static analysis. And we have a new topic of build 4026 because we have changed the type system representation. As you probably all know, the global data types are handled by the system manager. Here you can see that we are now adding automatically global data type libraries to the PLC project. These are the grayed out libraries you can see here in the screenshot. So there is one major library, TC3 global types, which sum up quite a number of different libraries which we are auto-generating. And those libraries have different namespaces. And this is one of the reasons why we have changed it. As you can see here, we can finally use namespaces which are defined in the global data type system, also in the PLC. So here you can see that various namespaces are already available. For example, also custom namespaces which are added to easily find the data types you are looking for. We have also changed the way of saving global data types within your PLC project. With build 4026, we will now add a new external types.tmc file, which has all the necessary information for the global data types. So no longer only the name of the global data type, but also its full description. So this new feature, this change of the type system representation, will make it way easier and more transparent to handle those global data types in the future. Then we have added a new feature called PLC project templates. Currently, it's becoming more important to have a very efficient engineering. And this is why our customers and users start looking on the standardization of content. And the PLC project templates are one way of standardization. And it's now integrated directly into the PLC project. So instead of saving it as a library, for example, on the same level, you have the save as PLC template command. And this then opens a dialog where you can set the name, and you can also set a description for the template if you would like to, an icon if you would like to, and a specific folder. And this is now shown on the next slide. So the template is saved as a zip and can easily be exchanged with colleagues. And within the Add New Item dialog, you can see this folder I've mentioned on the slide before. So if you do not define a folder, your templates are added to the custom PLC template folder. If you add a specific folder, you can also use subfolders for your various PLC templates in the future. From our point of view, the advantages here are that it's obviously very integrated into our workflow. So you can right away, by right-clicking on the PLC project, add this PLC project as a template. And it's also very easy to exchange, as you simply have a zip file, which you can exchange with your colleagues and add to a certain folder, to the template folder of the shell, to add this PLC template to your engineering. Last but not least, I would like to shortly talk about the libraries and its new features. First of all, I would like to mention that we are going to replace the existing restructured text solution with a new product called TwinCAT Documentation Generation, which you can use to document your PLC and of course also your library. Then we have a new navigation feature integrated into the library manager. So here you can see that if you are debugging, for example, your PLC code, and you open the library manager and get detailed information about a certain FB. Up to now, it was always necessary if there was a substructure or a member with a structure used, you had to search for this structure manually or for PLU, for example. With this new navigation, you can use the links which are automatically added in the library manager to search for other content like PLUs and DUTs, for example. We have also the possibility to easily navigate through those different data types. So if you have reached certain information, you can step back until you are back to the function block maybe where you have started searching within the library. Then we have added a new possibility to enable and disable repository locations. So if you're using multiple repositories, it's no longer necessary to delete those if you don't want to use them, but you can simply disable and enable them in 4026. Then we have now added a separate command to add a library. So normally, and this is also recommended, you are used to the add library command, which adds a placeholder of a certain library. And it was also possible to add a library, but this was a little hidden. Now we have added this command. Just as a short reminder, I would like to say that the placeholders are those libraries which are shown with the assignment. So for example, with TC2 standard, there is a specific version of the TC2 standard library assigned to this placeholder. And the library displayed in blue does not have this assignment, so it is directly set with a specific version, and you cannot change it afterwards if you, for example, use it in a library. Then we have the possibility to select multiple libraries via the multi-selection feature in the Add Library dialog and add them all together at the same time. And this is also very important from my point of view. It is now possible to export and import values of a parameter list. So you can set up a basic configuration maybe of a parameter list and reuse them in other projects easily. Then we have also added the check functions. Up to now, they weren't available in compiled libraries because you can unattendedly change the behavior of the compiled library via those check functions. And the requirement now to use it is that the library developer explicitly allows it via a checkbox, and then afterwards check functions are also available for compiled libraries. Yeah, in addition, we have added a new library details window into the file properties, because on file level it was always hard to find detailed information like the version of the library, and this can now be easily opened via the file properties, and we have added a second tab which shows those information. These information are automatically shown for like newly saved libraries in 4026, and also for existing items or libraries. This can be used, either you save it temporarily or you save it permanently in the existing library file. And then there is also a very important new feature. It's called reference PLC libraries. So up to now, the current challenges we are facing when implementing and developing a library is that if you change the library content, it takes quite some time until those changes are available in the application project, because you have to save it, you have to install it, you have to maybe change the version. And also during debugging, if you have already opened, you debug the correct method, for example, you log out, then it is not directly possible to change the content, because it's obviously locked, because it's part of a library. And this is why we have added reference PLC libraries as a new feature. So as a configuration, you have to set the basic project information at least. There is one new checkbox added. And if you enable this checkbox, the library is available in the repository of the application project as a reference library. This is shown and indicated by the square brackets, which we can see in the screenshot here. And if you now add this reference library, you have all the updates directly available. The requirement for this is that the library project is added to the same TwinCAT project as the application project is too. And then if you change your library content, save and install is not necessary anymore. These changes are directly available within your application project. And also during debugging, the content is not only open, but you can directly change it, save it, and continue with an online change, for example, and the debugging you have done. So the library development will become easier and obviously also more efficient with this new feature. And these topics are already all of the new updates of Build 4026. I would like to shortly summarize that we have access to quite a lot of new functionalities and updates by updating PLC to Service Pack 18. We have many features from the usability point of view. We have also totally new features like the type system representation, the PLC project templates, and the reference PLC libraries. Last but not least, I would like to mention that besides the documentation generation, which I've shortly mentioned, there are also other PLC-related new functions, like the PLC profiler. But yeah, there will be different other webinars concentrating on these specific topics. So this is why I didn't go into detail in this presentation. If you are interested in a list of updates, you can find it online on our homepage. So please feel free to search for it. And yeah, I would like to thank you already for your attention. If you have any additional questions, please use the question window. And I would like to answer at least a few of the questions. So the first question is, how can we change from a library to a reference library? So this question is regarding the library management and the new reference libraries. So it is actually pretty easily possible. there is, if the library is added as a dot library and not a compiled library, there is even a very integrated way of just right-clicking onto this library and then select to switch to the reference library. Then this library would be used as a basic to load the library project. But you can, of course, also add the library project as existing item and choose whether you would like to have it still at the same position, so the original position, or you would like to copy or move the content to your TwinCAT project. Maybe talking about the workflow, from our point of view, you should, if you start a new library development, you should use the reference library feature. But latest, if you do the commissioning or start doing the commissioning of an application, you should definitely switch to installed versions, because this is then way easier to handle. And obviously also, if you would like to have a safe handling of the content of the library, also compiled libraries would help you. Then there is another question: how can I delete PLC project templates? Yeah, I've already mentioned that it is very easy to exchange the project templates because they are only based on a zip file. And you have to add it to your templates folder in the shell folder. And deleting means just deleting the zip file from this template folder. And after a restart of the Visual Studio, this template would be deleted. Because we are running out of time, I would like to thank you again for your attention. As I mentioned before, I would like to answer all the other questions I couldn't yet answer via email. Thank you and have a nice day.